Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and as you can see from the mess on my desk, I have been busy working on ornaments, which I had mentioned in a previous video that I was going to be working on. Well, it's taken about a week of my life that I'll never get back, and it's been, as I've mentioned before, sometimes I ride the struggle bus. And this was one of those times. So I'm going to apologize right off the bat. This is going to be a really long-winded kind of explanation slash tutorial of what worked and what didn't, and my thoughts on why it didn't work and whatever. So, you know, gonna apologize for that right up the front. If you don't have time to watch, I totally understand. But stay tuned if you want to see my failures as well as some of my successes. So in a previous video, I'd mentioned again that I was going to make some Christmas ornaments. And I tried several different methods. Some I've tried in the past with success, and some were new to me. I've literally spent this last week working on these things, and now I've got several different variations on my desk. These are the successful ones, which aren't quite completed yet. But first I tried alcohol inks, both on plastic and glass ornaments, inside and outside. And I just wasn't happy with the results. So finally I got to a point where I was mostly okay with the result, but I only ended up saving one of those and removing the ink from all of the others. And this is the one I saved. I've also added some vinyl to it. Well, it's not vinyl, it's actually shelf liner. It's a beautiful blue frosty shelf liner, even though it doesn't really look all that blue in the camera. So it does have white paint on the inside, and then there's alcohol ink on the outside. I'm not thrilled with it, but it was okay, so I hung on to it. So everything else I went ahead and cleaned up. I used alcohol to on the outside, just wiped them off, and then on the inside I put the alcohol inside, and then just covered the hole and splashed it around to help loosen up the alcohol ink on the inside. And then I just used a wet wipe, kind of stuffed it inside and spun it around to help get up any remaining ink, and that actually worked okay. That's the good thing about alcohol ink. It does come out off those kind of surfaces. It didn't come off of the shirt I was wearing when I spilled one of my bottles of homemade ink, however. But that's another story. It was an old shirt anyway. I don't really care. So my second try, I dabbed some white paint onto several of these disc-shaped ornaments. And for some reason the paint kept chipping, and I was using white and the paint kept chipping away, so I knew I was going to have to wash it off and start over. But before I did that, I went ahead and played with the alcohol inks again on the outside, and while I was a little happier with the result, I already, I wasn't in love with it, and like I said, I knew I was going to have to repaint them because of the paint chips, so I ended up washing all of that off too. So I ended up rummaging through my selection of paints from my dirty pour days and found several blues in color ranges that I liked. Now this is an empty bottle. I've used all of it up. It's called Blue Ice. And as you can see, it's from Folk Art and it's metallic. It's a really pale color, but when you mix a little bit of it with some of these other colors, it was lovely. Unfortunately, it didn't work. And just so you know, I'll go ahead and tell you, I have I have 3 bottles of this from Folk Art, and then I have another bottle, which it looks to be roughly the same color, from Deco Art. So apparently I really, really like this color. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So I diluted the acrylic paint with water at first, which was typical when you're doing dirty pours and, acrylic pours. And then I would turn the ornaments upside down to dry, and you kind of put them in a cup and let it, most of the stuff dry out well, or run out. But what would happen is it would almost all run out. So I assumed I'd used too much water. I tried again with less water. Still didn't work. Most of it ran out. So then I went, when I was at Hobby Lobby, because I had to make a trip, and bought this flow medium. And thinking, well, maybe it'll work better than the water. I used a lot less of it, had the same problem. So I don't know if it's the temperature in the house, because we do keep it kind of cool in here, as you can see from my gloves that my favorite sister made me. Maybe I just need to turn the heat up. I don't know if it's a temperature thing. if I'm doing something wrong, it could be any number of things. But I didn't have good luck with it, so I gave up eventually. I mean, I really wanted to get to work on these, and so I eventually just went back to it. Yeah, so the coverage was terrible. It ended up being really transparent. In fact, I don't know if I have any of them left. Here you can see, I don't know if it's going to show up in the camera. Yeah, you can kind of see the blobs, the drips on the inside. They just didn't cover well. And so I just, like I said, I just gave up with that method. And then I went on to number 4. And I diluted, well, that was diluting the paint with the flow medium, and that was still had the same results. It just wasn't happy. So then I moved on to methods 5, 6, and 7. 7 I don't have here to show you. It's out in the shed. Hubby's working on that. I'll go ahead and tell you about it. It's these ornaments that he spray primed instead of trying to hand prime them. He sprayed them with paint primer, and then he's going to use a similar type of metallic spray paint blue to cover the outside. So that's number 7. But in between there is 5 and 6, which I am working on, and they are these glitter ornaments. And this is something I originally did about 25 years ago. I used the glass ornaments, the round ones, and then my sister painted on the outside. So I put glitter on the inside using a spray adhesive that I just sprayed right in the hole and kind of made sure it got all over. And then put the glitter inside and then shook it all up, and they looked really nice. And then she painted on the outside for me. If you don't know who Donna Dewberry is and you love kind of a folk style painting, she's massive in the industry, and you'll if you look her up, you'll see what I'm talking about. So she did some flowers on the outside for me. So those were my favorite ornaments for years. But eventually the spray adhesive lost its tack, and the glue was just kind of floating around loosely, or the glitter was just floating around loosely. So, and then over years, because they were glass, they were getting broken. So when I moved into my tumbler phase, that glitter is big in the tumbler world, or it was. Now it seems like it's mostly sublimation. I don't really do it anymore, just because it was a really kind of, I won't go into it, but I don't want to offend anybody, but I did not have a good experience in the tumbler world, let's just say. And I saw a lot of other people having worse experiences than me, so I just kind of got out of it. But what I learned during that phase was polyacrylic, and I've already given the jar back to my husband, so I'll try to find a picture and insert it right here in the video. But polyacrylic, and this is what it looks like. I've just added it to this bottle for my own personal use and gave him back the rest of his jar. It's a sealer for wood or paint or whatever. Most people use it on furniture, but it works really well because it's sticky, it's thin, so it drains out pretty easily. You just squirt it into the ornament, and I've got some here, so I'll make one for you. But you squirt it in, you swirl it all around, make sure you got full coverage, shake it up if you need to. You probably won't, though, if you put enough in there. And then let it drain out for a while. And I would say 3 to 5 minutes is enough to let it drain. You just want to get the bulk of it out so when the ornament sits for any given time, you're not going to have a puddle of it sitting in the bottom. So you want to get, most of it drained out. And then when you put the glitter in, it just kind of helps absorb. It doesn't really absorb the excess, but it just kind of helps contain it. So polyacrylic is the way I ended up going with these, and it has been a lifesaver. It's so much faster. I picked up some more glitters at Hobby Lobby, made a special trip in just because my glitter's still boxed up somewhere. I don't even know where it's at. I can't dig anything else out right now. So I've got a plan, but I haven't activated it yet. So here we are, the 5th of December of 2024, and this is also glitter. So I've got different colors of glitter here, and I guess I could go over those real quick. Let me see here. My desk is a mess. I try not to knock everything over. So I started with the chunky. You want to start with if you're using different sizes of glitter, you want to start with your chunkier glitters first, because if you use a fine glitter and get full coverage on the inside, these won't stick and you won't be able to see them. So start with your chunky mixes first. And this is Blue Ice glitter. And I love the color. This was the color I was going for. So I would do that first, and then I would dump out the excess into my little jar here. or cup, it's not a jar. Then I would take and add some of this similar colored glitter. It's called Fine Aqua. And I would just add a little bit of that in and just give it a good shake. And dump out the excess, tap out the excess again into my cup. And then finally, I was using this Cosmic glitter, which is a holographic. And so you can't see a lot of it in there, but that's what I wanted. I didn't want you to be able to see a lot of it because I wanted this color blue. However, once I ended up dumping that out and getting everything mixed in, and eventually I even used some mica powder, which I've put away, just to get a little bit darker, because I do want a variation of blues. So eventually I was reusing my mix. I had enough in here and I was reusing it, and I'd added the mica powder. So I ended up getting something like this. And you can see it's quite a bit darker, but it does still have the same colors in it. And I loved it. So I've just got this assortment of these blues here that I'm loving. And that's how I've decided to decorate the insides with this polyacrylic. Let's see. I want to make sure I don't leave anything out, because I spent a lot of time on these. So yeah, I think that's got us pretty caught up. So then I went to painting these again. So what I did was I actually used alcohol to wipe down the outside. And they recommend that. I was just being lazy and trying to avoid having the extra step. Plus, I kind of forgot, actually, depending on which phase of the process I was in. Sometimes I was being lazy and sometimes I forgot. But I did wipe them down with alcohol, which I've put in this little bitty squirt bottle so I have a little more control over it. And I just used a cotton swab. You can use whatever you want. That's what I chose to use. Yep, there I go, knocking stuff over. So then I just dabbed it. So I would take, and here actually is my cotton swab. It should be dry. Oh yeah, hard. And I would I'd either put the paint on something like this and then dab it up and put it on. Eventually, again, laziness struck, and I just kind of drizzled a little bit of paint on top. And then I would just kind of work it out from the center to the outside edges. And I would paint all the way just over the edge, and then I would let it dry with the painted side up. Then I'd come back and paint the other side, let it dry, and then I'd add a second coat to both sides. And again, this is this metallic blue, and I think it's gorgeous. So then I had to figure out, what am I going to put on the outside of these? So I love these dies, and I don't know where it went. This isn't even the largest one. But this is some dies that I've got, a set of snowflake dies, and I love these. Let me move a few things away here so you can kind of see what I've done. They're getting stuck together. There we go. That's a bad thing about these intricate cuts. They do tend to get stuck together, but they're so pretty. Oh, that one's really stuck. Okay, there we go. So, look at that. This is a holographic. Let me find the label. I've ended up using two of them. So this is the Cricut vinyl, and it is the holographic. I've used blue and opal. So these are the opal, even though they look blue. The blue ones, this is the blue one. And in real life, you can see it on there pretty good, but in the camera, it does look a little hard to see. The downside is, I probably didn't clean my ornament, but it's not sticking very well. You can see it's lifting up there. So I'm going to have to, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to press them down really good and then use the spray, a sealer on them to hopefully get it to stick down. But I might end up just putting a little bit of glue underneath there too. So I've got a couple of those. That one's really peeling up. Look at that. But the good thing about these snowflakes where you've got this nice indentation here, because some of them are more like a solid, like a solid octagon or hexagon or whatever they are. Those don't lay down as nicely. It's because this nice V in here that helps these lay down on these domed ornaments, because they're not flat. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, Cricut does have designs, and I did cut some out. So let's look at those. So first of all, I used Cricut party foil. And this is a 2-pack, and I don't think you can, yeah, you can't see it because of the way I've got it wrapped up. But I have a sample. Oh, well, I'm trying to figure out where to put everything because my desk is such a mess. So here's the sample. This, you saw the plain blue on the outside, and here's the glittery one that was that's buried underneath it, so you can't really see it. The problem with this is it did not work with my dies. I worked and worked and worked just to get this much of it cleaned up, and the center pieces, the detail did not cut. And I also had to run it through my Xyron sticker maker just to get it adhesive on the back, because it's not adhesive. It's beautiful, but you will have to work with it. It's thicker than vinyl, and it doesn't work with the die cuts. It cuts out fine on the Cricut, but not with the dies. So there was my attempt at that. And I do have a couple of the ornaments. These are in Design Space. Now, what I would recommend with this one, and these ornaments are, I've taken the tops off of them, but they're, oh, here's one. They are 3.9 inches or 10 centimeters, and they're from Michaels. I got them years ago. So I don't know how much they are now. They were really cheap. I bought them in bulk, and I bought a lot of them. So they were cheap for me, but they're probably more expensive. So if you're going to do this one with the Cricut Design Space, you can't get much bigger than this. You could get a little bit bigger with this one, but not a lot. What I would recommend is you go ahead and, what's that called? Contour out some of these smaller circles and shapes, and because they're pretty small and they did not cut real well with the party foil. Again, I spent a long time working on this just to clean it up to get it on there, but I love the intricacy and the detail, so that's why I chose it. Now here's a simpler one that was much easier to work with, and it just came right off. But again, you can see because of the spacing, because all these little arms aren't attached, it lays down easier. Now it still wants to peel up a little bit because my sticker machine isn't necessarily the stickiest for this type of application. As you can see on the back, this one is peeling up. But these are all from Design Space. Again, there are parts of this that I would not cut out. I would contour them out so that they didn't cut out. You could make this one a little bit bigger if you wanted to, and if you're using vinyl, that might be the way to go. But with this party foil, if you don't have a sticker machine to put it through, you're going to have to find a way to make the back of it sticky. So, not ideal. Now, what you could do is you could maybe find a way to put it inside an undecorated ornament and just let it hang in there. You'd have to put it on something clear, like a acetate sheet or you know, those old overhead sheets, whatever they call them. But you know, that might be okay, and then it would be transparent, but it might be too transparent if there's no other decoration on anything. So I don't know. So anyway, all three of those, in fact, I think I had a fourth one. Yeah, this one peeled pretty nice too. I didn't have to work too hard to clean it, you know, to clean out all the little bits. It peeled up pretty nicely, and it's actually laid down better than most. But some of them I didn't get centered very well, so that's another thing to think about. But you can find designs in Cricut, and you can make your own. I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video because this is already long enough, but let me switch over. Give me just a second here. When I first pulled out these ornaments, I was actually going to do something like this. Let me shrink that. That's too big. Where you take and because I have printable acetate for my inkjet printer, which has been specially treated for the ink. And I was going to do stuff like this, you know, kind of, but then I thought, oh, I don't think I'll be happy with those. I think they're going to be so plain. So then I started looking at the designs in Design Space, and this was just a few of them that were out there. These are the 4 in purple, or the 4 that I actually cut, because I do like the kind of fancier filigree type stuff. But then then I decided to make my own. Let's see if this will pop up. Okay, so then I decided I'd go in and make my own, and this is kind of what I've come up with so far. Now I've just started playing with it, and I basically just took some shapes. So these are the ones that I found. Oh, actually, these are from some I purchased from Creative Fabrica. And if you're interested to kind of see what I have, I can show you. Let me know. I'll just do a whole separate video. Or you can just go to Creative Fabrica and look. They have a lot of different snowflake designs. Some of these are 3D where you would layer them on top of each other, but I just pick out the first or second layer, the top layer or second layer, and use those, because the further back you go, the more solid they are. But they have some beautiful, let me go back up. They have some beautiful snowflakes out there. I love that one. I like that one. So I like all of these. And see, this is the kind, though, I was telling you won't cut as well, because, or won't lay down as well, because it's one solid piece. Now you can stretch vinyl a little bit, but I would be leery about putting this on a domed or rounded ornament unless you're going to work from the top down, in which case you'll have to cut a hole in the center. Just because it's not going to lay as flat as these will. Well, as this one in particular, because it's got this nice space between there. So anyway, these are just some from Creative Fabrica that I thought were beautiful, and I want to probably cut out at some point in the future. I'm thinking about making some out of air dry clay as well, so we'll see. I've got all kinds of cutters I can cut stuff out with. But these are the two I actually made myself, and I just used some of the free shapes and you know, did some slicing and some welding. And here's my my basic snowflake template, so to speak. This is what I work off of. Now I just used the shape, where is it? It's this one here, this kind of pill looking, they call it an oval, but there's also this oval, so it's kind of the pill shaped looking one. And I just stretched it out. And then anyway, that's a whole nother video. I'll do that another time. I don't want to get into all that, but I did want to show you that you can make your own patterns. And these are just with the free shapes. So, you know, you're not stuck buying from Creative Fabrica or even Design Space, because if you just use the free subscription price or the free membership, you can use the free shapes to make your own. And maybe I will just go ahead and do a video on that, because I think a lot of people might be interested, and we're getting close to Christmas, so it's definitely time. So anyway, you can make your own. So let's go back to, let's see, what were we going to go back to? Let's go back to here. So I've showed you the vinyls I've used, even, and I don't have them over here, they're on the other side of the desk, but this backing from these, this is kind of the papery side, but the other side's glossy. So when you take it off, if you can get it off in one piece and you want to run it through a sticker maker or glue it all down somehow, maybe just like dab glue all over the back of it, you could use the white glossy side also on these ornaments. So you got to get 2 for 1 there. Now the other thing I did was I saved my scraps, and I cut out, I've still got a few scraps to go, but I did cut out some smaller ornaments with my dies, except I don't know where they went because I've made a mess with my desk. But anyway, I've cut out some smaller ones. They're here somewhere. Oh, here they are. So save your scraps, because I've got snowflakes that are even smaller than that. I've got some that are like this big in dies. So I'm going to run them through here, and I'm going to use those, because why wouldn't I? This is beautiful paper, this holographic opal. Yeah, I'm going to use them. So that's just another thing to be aware of. So see, I told you this was going to be long-winded, and it is. This was one where I cut out the center of a die so that it would go around the top of the ornament. I saved that too because it looks like a snowflake. And that would have been on one of these. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now again, if you may not be able to see it on the camera, I think you can a little bit. You can see the streaks on the inside. But I love the color. I love the kind of the rainbow look, I don't know, iridescence that you get with the glass ornaments, but there's also a big puddle of dried paint down here at the bottom. So wasn't overall happy with these, but that's why I decided to go ahead and dress them up a little bit. So I just cut out the center of that snowflake, and look how nice it lays down on a round ornament. I mean, it's gorgeous. And this is the shelf liner. Now, I've had it for several years. Don't know if you can get it anymore. I probably bought it on Amazon, so if I were you, that's where I'd look. I wouldn't look at Dollar Tree. I don't think they'll have anything this nice. But obviously, you're going to get a lot of die cuts out of it. So, yeah, I think that's so pretty. So I'm really happy with the final result, as long as you don't put a lot of light behind it and can see the paint blurbs. I might go ahead and put another one on the bottom and work it up this way. So we'll see, just to kind of cover those up. So yeah, save your bits, guys, because you just never know when they're going to come in handy. All right, so I'm going to remove my gloves because I actually warmed up a little bit in here, and I don't want to get anything on them. And I'm going to show you how you do your polyacrylic. So here's one of the new ornaments. I'm just kind of trying to get some of this loose stuff out of my way here. Here's one of the unused ornaments. So I'm just going to pull the top off of it. It comes out real easy. I've got a box of them tops sitting over there somewhere. And since we're working on the inside, I don't really worry about cleaning it out because the polyacrylic has not been a problem for me, not pre-cleaning these. So you're just going to pour some or squirt some in or pour it in depending on what you're using. I reuse mine unless I end up with a lot of glitter in it, in which case I don't reuse it. Let's see, I'm trying to get the lid back on there. So you can see you got your polyacrylic. You are just going to spin this ornament around until it's coated nicely on the inside. And you want to make sure you coat it completely, because any spots that don't get coated will, nothing will stick to them. So once I get to that point, I just kind of spin it slowly while tipping it and letting it drain out. And then I'm going to prop it up back here and just let it finish drain for a couple more minutes. So, and you do want to prop it up, because if you don't, it will, it won't sit on these round glasses because they're oval shaped, or not oval, dome shaped ornaments. They're disc shaped. That's the word I want. Okay, so while that's doing that, we'll go ahead and apply some of this, one of these, to our finished ornament. So this is actually a bigger, I have this in two sizes, and they're a little bit different. The smaller one's not quite as ornate at the top, but I like the bigger one. So when I go to place it on like this, you can see it really wraps from top to bottom of the ornament. So I found if I turn it to where the valley is pointing up, I get a little bit more room to place things. So you have an option here. You can use transfer tape, which I have done, and I think I'll probably do again. Or you can just peel this off and stick it down. But let me find my transfer tape. Let's see. Now this is stuff I've had for 15 years. I bought a big roll of it and I've had it forever. Okay. So I want to make sure I've put this black paper in the background just so you could see it. Since my mat is blue, I wanted you to be able to see what we're doing here since all of our colors are blue. So I'm just kind of trying to place that on there. And I'm going to just trim it down. I do reuse this stuff, but I have reused these pieces a bit, so not too worried if I just get a single use out of them today. I don't really want that sticking to the black paper, but it'll probably be all right. Well, let's see. We will see. So I just do a really good burnish on it, because that's going to help your backing remove itself more easily. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it does kind of peel your paper up a little bit. So don't do it on paper or cardstock. Oh well, it's not like I don't have more. So now you're going to want to peel off the backing paper. And I've got this little handmade pokey tool. It's just a needle and a mechanical pencil. I also have one that another crafter made for me. Her name's, oh darn it, I had it, Gloria Wilson? Wilson might be wrong, but Gloria does a lot of crafts like myself. I don't know her that well, but I did order a pokey tool and the pen, or the glue pen, from her, and I've been pretty happy with those. She makes crafts, like I said, as well. Okay, so here, and I see part of it I missed, is the glossy side of that paper, and you can't really tell looking at that. Let's put it on here, but it is glossy, and it would be beautiful on the ornaments. Again, I would do it that way, but look at that. Isn't that pretty? So I'm going to save that because I can use it. But before I do that, let me pick out the piece that I saw that I missed, which is right here. Because otherwise I might not remember. Oh, it looks like I've missed it a couple of times. I might not remember the next time I pick this up. Okay, I think that's good. So let me pick it out of here as well. Where is it? There's one. Hopefully it cut all the way. Doesn't actually look like it did, but it cut the backing, so. Or maybe I'm in the wrong place. Oh, I was in the wrong place. I need to be over here. Okay, I flipped that somewhere. I don't know where. Oh, there's another one. Let's get it and see if I can. Okay, so there's that. Oh, there it is. I found it. All right. So I'm going to get rid of these because they are sticky a little bit. And we'll take a look through the front and make sure. Oh, that's that black paper. Make sure we got everything else. And it looks like we did. So I've also had to decide, do I want to do both sides of the ornaments or just one? I'm probably going to do both sides, that way no matter which side you're seeing it from, it's pretty. So that was the other thing I decided. So I'm just going to do my best to kind of eyeball this. Now you can be as particular as you want. This is as particular as I want to be. So I'm going to press that down, and then I'm just going to work my way. Now you can cut up between here if you want. It does help a little bit. So let me do that real quick. Trying not to scratch my ornament. This is what I meant about single use, because it's really hard to lay that back down on the next die cut in the right way in order to get it on there correctly once you cut all these slits in it. Okay, so I'm going to go move those scissors out of the way, and I'm just going to work down each one of those little tabs that I just cut from the center out, and just kind of pressing them down, hoping that they'll stick to this paint, this painted bauble. And I move on to the next one, again working from the center out, making sure I give it a good press. And just going to do that with all of them. Now if you press too hard with these ornaments, you can kind of push in, like even right there you can see it wants to push in a little bit. So I'm just going to continue working around, giving it a good press, getting it stuck down as good as I can, and then I will bring in my tool to burnish it, because it isn't, some of it isn't sticking very well. So, and this could be because of the paint. I hadn't tried this yet with any of the painted ones. So I'm just trying to give it a good press and just work my way around. Now, I will say that my vinyl's old. I haven't really done anything with it. I've probably had it at least 6 years, maybe. I don't know if there's a date on it or not. Well, this one's, the foil's 2017. What's going on here? Okay, let's do it this way. These vinyls are also from 2017, or at least that's the date on them. So if you have something more current, it may stick better. I don't know. I wish I could give you a definite answer on that. I'm not sure this is even going to work. We'll see. Let's just kind of gently peel this back. Let's find one that's working or that's pretty stuck. And you want to peel it back at a pretty sharp angle, like kind of just right on top of itself. And it's giving us some heartache here. Not wanting to lay down. So at this point I don't know if a sealer will work. I'm hoping it will, to just get them, you know, pressed down good and then put a sealer over the top of it. But this is definitely giving me fits, and I'm not happy about it. So they definitely stick better to the plastic portion, just, you know, plain plastic ornament or glass, because this is not coming off of there. And this is disappointing. However, I'm going to set that aside. I think we've seen enough here to know that it's going to be a pain to get off of there. Whereas this one was just the plastic with the glitter inside, and it worked fine. So, well, you know what? Maybe what I should do is just see if it'll just all come off of there. I mean, the whole thing, sticker and all. Because I am not without other solutions, ladies. Looky there. All right. So, this one is probably drained enough. So I'm going to lay that there. I am going to put this polyacrylic back in my bottle. Just take the lid off there. Now it will get kind of crusty on you after a while, like around the rim and stuff, like any other kind of paint or anything. So you will want to be careful about not getting those crusties into your projects if it's going to be a problem for you. And that's good enough. I'll just let that sit there. So a little bit of this goes a long way. Now obviously it's cheaper in bulk, but you don't really need to buy it in bulk unless you're planning on going into the, you know, glitter ornament business. All right, so this is the funnel I used. I have another funnel somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I made this. I'm hiding my friend's address. It's not the best because it's too big, but it works. So I would use something smaller. I grabbed something smaller, but it's cardstock and it really does not want to fold up correctly. So I'm going to go back to my big one here. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick your glitters. So this is my chunky. Well, you know what? I might have enough glitter in here. Let's just use this one. So I just kind of hold this in here like so. So you can see it's just kind of in there. Then I'm going to pour this right in the tip. And I like to shake it off good, because if you don't, you'll end up with glitter all over your desk or your lap. And then give it a few good taps. That'll get most of it, the loose stuff out of there. So I say, and then look, it spills it everywhere. So again, we're just going to spin, spin, spin. This actually could have used a lot more of the chunky glitter. So, yeah, you can see how it's mostly just chunky at the top. I'm gonna brush this off. So now, you're going to want something over the top of this. And actually, I do want to put a little more chunky in there, which I set right here. I don't know if it'll stick now, but we'll see. We'll give it a try. So we're going to put this back in here. Pour our glitter in the hole. Shake it down. And it still spilled some. And then we'll shake that around. And yeah, that's the problem when you put the fine in first. And this was a mix, but I should have looked at it better because it was mostly fine. But then you want something to cover the hole with, unless your thumb's big enough. Mine's not quite, almost. And you're just going to shake it up. And I like to kind of spin the ornament around as I'm doing that, just to make sure I get all the nooks and crannies. So, there you go. I feel like, oh, that's why I wasn't using the cotton ball before, because it does kind of make a mess at the mouth of the jar here. So, I feel like I should put some darker stuff in there maybe. I don't know. That did not quite work the way I wanted it to. But you're just going to tip it over and shake all that glitter out of there. All that loose stuff. Now, you might be thinking, well, just put some more polyacrylic in there and swirl it around. But what's going to happen, first of all, it's not dry what's in there. So it's just going to pick up all that glitter. And it's going to contaminate your, your jar, wherever you're dumping it out into, so that you can reuse it. The second thing is because it's all the same, it will pick it up even if you do let it dry. It'll still pick it up. So, or at least that's what I've been told. I've never tried it because that's what I've been told. But I think this will be okay. So I'm going to clean off my workspace here. Glitters, if you don't like working with glitter, this isn't the craft for you, because it's going to get everywhere, and it doesn't matter how careful you are. It is just going to get everywhere, because that is just what glitter does. So I don't know. Oh, see, and then I just knocked that bottle over. Oh goodness. All right, well, I'll clean that up later. I don't think this one's going to show up that well on here. It's not, so I'm going to have to cut a different one. And I need to clean it anyway, but it will stick a lot better on this one than it does on the painted. However, I'm not too bummed about the painted, because I had something else I wanted to try. I have had these beads forever and ever. So what I'm thinking I will do is I will, well, it's hard to do and hold on to everything, but I'm thinking I will wrap them around the kind of middle, maybe a little bit above the middle, mostly the middle, yeah, and glue those on there, and then maybe cover the area that I glue it with a bow, a matching bow, something like that. But you get the idea. So these are also part of my arsenal for this crafting ornament season, and I'm excited to try that. So I'm not too bummed that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. I've got 6 of these that are going to get this treatment now, since the vinyl doesn't want to stick. So let me just kind of wrap that back up. I'll set that up there out of the way. And I am bummed I didn't get to show you that one, but that's okay. We could do a round one. You want to do one on the round ones? Let me get another cotton ball. And we'll grab this. And actually, is that that one's wet. I want one that's kind of, we'll use this one. So I'm just going to grab my alcohol ink in my little needle nose bottle here, applicator bottle. I'm just going to put some on there. Kind of generous with it. It looks like I'm generous, but it doesn't really take that much. Put the cap back on so that doesn't evaporate. And then we're just going to clean around the top of this ornament here. And just go down the side. So basically you're just cleaning off any oils from the manufacturing process, or maybe from your hands from touching it. There could be any number of things that's on here, but this just helps make everything stick better. I don't know what that is. Anyway, so you're just going to clean that off. I'll reuse that later. So I'm going to set that there. And I'm going to take, I got that one stuck down already, so I'm not going to use that one. I will use this one. So I'm going to take this one, find my small detailed scissors. Well, these will work. And I'm just going to cut out that center because I want it's got to fit around this hole. So I think here we go. I'd already kind of pre-measured this before. So I'm just nipping away at the center of this die cut. And I'm just in the same place all the way around until it comes loose. And that's that little snowflake I'm saving. So then you've got this, which nestles down around there really nicely. So for this, you definitely do not want the transfer tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little needle tool here, and I'm just going to lift the edge of this die cut here. And once I've got something that I can hang on to, I'm just going to peel it away. Now you do want to be a little delicate when you come to areas like that are kind of attached. I don't think your vinyl will tear, but I'm not going to say that it won't. And you're just going to work your way around, removing that backing piece. And again, whoops, that's the glossy side there. So that's the side you could also use on here if you chose to. And actually that white looks really pretty, but I can't restick this one, so we're going to use this. So what we're going to do is, I'm trying not to move that too much. I'm going to pull it a little closer to me though, just so I can see it a little better. And you're just going to kind of lay that where you think it's going to go. Alright, so then you're going to work your way around just like you did the other one and push it down. And it helps kind of to, you know, maybe pick it up and stretch it every once in a while to make sure you've got it. I'm going to have to hold it even though I don't want to. Just kind of stretch it around. To make sure everything lays down nice and flat. And again, it wants to kind of peel up a little bit, even though I cleaned it. Now, the other stuff I used was actually the shelf liner, so maybe it's a little stickier. I don't know. But I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep going, and if I have to glue it down, I will. And see, I've got a little bubble right there. And I'm just, you know what, it's so close together. I'm just going to kind of push it in and like crease it up on itself. Not ideal. If you're selling these, that's not the way to go, but if they're for your own personal use, you know, make life easy on yourself. Yeah, they definitely are not wanting to stick very well. And maybe that's because it picked up some debris from the painted ornament. That could also be. No, because this was a separate one. Okay. I was trying to make excuses for myself, but let's see here. Anyway, you can see how pretty that is. So the other thing you could do is, if you're having trouble getting it to stick, if you have a sticker maker, run it through that, and then maybe run it through your die cutting machine just to help get all of the extra background glue off. Otherwise you'll have glue stuck in some of these little recesses here. Or you can just glue the back of it and put it down that way. Get rid of that. Let's see here. I'm going to keep working at this for a second because I feel like it should work. I will say that the vinyl, the blue stuff from Amazon, it is a little stretchier. So it does work a little bit better because it's got a little more give in it. I'm just going to gently, one of my other ones would probably work better. I'm just gently going to burnish this down and see if that extra pressure, yeah, it's not really helping. So, dang, that's too bad because that is so pretty. So I will find a way to glue that down. It never occurred to me that it wouldn't work as well with this vinyl as it did with the shelf liner. And you know, you could even use Mod Podge. Now, I don't know if that will change the iridescence of this opal vinyl. I don't know. It might. And it's so pretty. But it's even prettier on camera. Well, no, I was going to say it's even prettier on camera. It's just because it's changing colors. But yeah, I'm going to have to figure out how to glue that down, I guess. But look at it. Isn't it gorgeous? So, there you have it. This is ornament making. Successes, failures, plastic versus, yeah, see, I didn't want to put this one on there because it's not dark enough. I'm going to have to cut the darker vinyl, I think. Let me just try this and see. Yeah, you can't really see that, can you? Yeah, I'm going to have to cut one out of the darker vinyl for that, but it is pretty. Okay, while I was sitting here playing, I went over to my other desk and found these darker blue ornaments that are a little bit darker because they have the mica powder in them. Actually, they're quite a bit darker. So I think this opal one will show up on here nicely, and I am having a lot better luck with this one sticking because it's just on the plastic. It's not painted. So it is working a lot better. I may try and use some spray sealer on the paint and see if that will make it stick better. I don't know that it will, but I think it's worth a try, and if I find that it does, I will mention it in another video. I was doing pretty good till I got to that part. There we go. I'm just trying to kind of keep all of this. Actually, what I should do is cut that away so it's not going to keep laying back down on top of what I've already managed to get stuck. All right. Yeah, that's pretty. Look at that. So I find if you kind of can get it started and then hold that down, it does keep it from at least stretching backwards. However, this piece is being a little bit of a troublesome child here. Here we go. Nope. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to cut that off just to make it easier on myself. So I think I mentioned this previously. This transfer tape I have had 20 years. It was a big roll, and I've had it for a long time, so it may not be the best transfer tape to use for this project, but I'm determined to use up the supplies that I have been collecting throughout my lifetime, since now my husband and I are both retired. And what was the point of me buying all this stuff if I wasn't going to use it someday? Yep. I think I am almost there. Oh, looky there. Okay, so what I probably should have done was use the slightly smaller ornament die, but I like this bigger one so much better that yeah, I could have pulled that up a little higher too, but I didn't. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, I should have pulled it up higher, but look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So if you're putting it straight on the plastic, it does work a lot better. But again, I'm going to emphasize, you do want to make sure you've got these valleys in here, because it helps to cut your tape when you're working on a dome surface. If it's flat, it's not going to be a problem, or not as much of a problem. But if it's not flat, you're going to have to work with it a little bit more than you would normally. So don't give up. Got something there going the wrong way. Push that back down. And persistence pays. So there you go. So it does work. And once this is good and dry, I will, actually this probably should be dry, I will put my my stopper back in, which I think I've already put in my box over there. Now you could paint those if you want, and I did think about that, but Christmas is almost here. I need to get decorated. I'm not putting up a tree this year. I'm just going to put some ornaments hang them in the windows off some branches, and I'll take a picture of that when I do it. Post it on Instagram, maybe in the group. And I'm going to make a wreath to hang over the island with some of these ornaments hanging from it. So, plus some that's already in our Christmas stuff, hopefully. So anyway, there you go. It works out pretty good if you put it right down on the plastic instead of trying to put it on paint. And I'm really happy with it. I think it's beautiful. It's subtle, but beautiful. All right, guys. Well, I'll say goodbye again. And thank y'all, each and every one of you, so much. I really do appreciate you. We will do, like I said, we'll do a giveaway. I think I'm going to do a gift card. I still haven't even started mailing out my Christmas cards or those for the angel card project. So I really have to get busy, and I have to plan next week's Christmas ornament. So I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed. Anyway, thank you all so much. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, happy crafting.